What is going on YouTube? Joe here with Color Nation Media, and welcome back for another episode of CM Strats. Today we're taking a look at the Noctowl set that I like to run, of course in NU, although I do bring it to higher tiers as well. A lot of you guys have been suggesting this in the comment section and on Twitter and all that stuff, so here we are, and I should be doing one on Shiftry soon as well. I got the artwork all set up for that because a lot of you were also suggesting that, so that should be the next video. And typically how I run this series is I do it every 3 days or so. At least that's how the new schedule is going to look, because I try to cycle through my videos as for, you know, how the days go. So you got Majora's Mask one day, and then Storm Silver, and then a Strats video. So if this is going up on like Thursday or something like that is what it looks like it's going to be doing. I'm not positive, but if this is Thursday and you're watching this, the Shiftry video should be going out on Sunday. So that is that. Now before we get started today, before we get into this set and we really break this down, take a look at partners and the EV spread and the moves and all that jazz, if you have not done so already and you would like to show some support to the channel and the series, which I hope you guys do because it really does help me out, all you got to do is click that thumbs up button right below this video, maybe even leave a comment. I always encourage you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I do appreciate your feedback. I try to read, I say that all the time. I'm not trying to read, I do read every single comment. So if it's posted on a video, as long as YouTube shows me the notification for it, it does get read, and I try to respond to as many people as I possibly can. Also, so yeah, having said that, let's just jump right into this set here. So first of all, this is specially defensive, so we've got the Calm Nature going there, which is positive special defense minus attack, physical attack that is, because you don't need it. You don't need it at all. So that's what the nature is. I really don't recommend using any other nature. Calm is pretty much the way to go here, because physically defensive Noctowl doesn't really work that well, so yeah, let's stick to the specially defensive one. Now the EVs, really nothing special. We have 248 HP, and the reason for that is because it's a Stealth Rock number. You don't want to have 252 because that gives you an even number. That means you cannot switch into Stealth Rock as many times as if you had an odd number. And since we're using this as a set that removes hazards with the Fog, switching into Stealth Rock needs to be a top priority, or you have to figure that you're going to be switching into Stealth Rocks. Now, since this is a specially defensive set, we also have max investment in our special defense. 252 EVs are there. And then the 8 remaining EVs, you can throw it into anything you want. You can put it into your physical defense. If you really wanted to, you could put it into, I guess, your special attack. I would not advise that. I mean, all it does is just increase the power of Air Slash, and that's really not important because, honestly, you don't use Air Slash that often at all. So I really don't feel like there's that much of a reason for that. I put the extra 8 EVs into speed because it helps you outspeed other base 70s that are uninvested or only have 4 EVs. Like I said, that's up to your own personal judgment. If you don't care about outspeeding those things, or you don't face things that you want to outspeed with that, then you can put it somewhere else. And if I had to make a recommendation for a second option other than speed, I would say your physical defense, so you can take some hits. Not that much better, but every little bit counts. Now we go to the lefties. Not the lefties. We're not going to the lefties. We're going to look at the item of choice, which is lefties, of course, because that's pretty standard for a bulky Pokemon. It's used as utility and as a wall, so lefties seems to be really the only choice. I guess you could use a Citrus Berry, but a lot of times Noctowl will stay in for a long period of time. So lefties does add up after a while. Now the ability, I think Noctowl only gets 2 choices. One is Insomnia, which is the chosen ability, and then we have Tinted Lens, which I'm pretty sure is its Dream World hidden ability thing. If you're going to use offensive Noctowl, I would say go for it, but this is not offensive sets. Tinted Lens really doesn't do much for us at all, and Insomnia prevents you from being put to sleep, so no sporing action, although Spore isn't big in NU at all, unless you're running into a lot of Parasects, which you probably won't, let's be real, but Sleep Powder could be a thing, and you never know, you may run into those people that like to use Grass Whistle or Hypnosis. Believe me, I've had it happen on the ladder before, so it's not like it would be unheard of. The Insomnia is a nice little thing to have, especially because you don't have to have a grass-type Pokemon to switch in on things like Sleep Powder. You can just switch in Noctowl. It's kind of like a built-in safety goggles-ish thing, except it doesn't protect you from Stun Spore and such, or weather. But having said that, let's take a look at the moves. We've got Roost, which, I mean, it's the only form of reliable recovery Noctowl gets outside of Rest, so why not use it? It also removes your flying typing for a turn, so if you outspeed something that is going to use Stone Edge on you, that works really nicely. You are going to be using that a lot, especially when you're switching into Stealth Rocks, because you take 25%, which is really unfortunate. Having a wall weak to Stealth Rocks is never great, but Noctowl is able to pull it off pretty darn well, and the only downside to that is that you do have to use Roost kind of sort of a lot. Now that brings me to the second move slot here, which is the Defog, and Defog is fantastic this generation. It's such a great utility move. You can remove spikes, toxic spikes, Stealth Rocks, Sticky Web, all of which are running rampant in NU. You've got the Masquerains that love to use Sticky Web and then Quiver Pass and all of those shenanigans, so you can get rid of that. And Noctowl also levitates or flaps his wings over all of those spikes and toxic spikes too, so you only have to worry about Stealth Rock. So, you know, being a flying target really isn't that bad. But yeah, you can use the Defog to support your team. I guess if you don't want to use the Defog, you could put Whirlwind on there to be able to spread some toxics and such around, and also if you have entry hazard support on your team, Whirlwind could work out well. I just prefer Defog because the utility is amazing and it opens up the rest of your team, so you don't have to try to fit in another Defogger or Rapid Spinner if it just doesn't work. And having a flying typing does synergize well with a lot of Pokemon, so we'll go into that later when we talk about partners, which we're almost there. We only got 2 moves left to discuss here. So this is actually moving kind of fast, or maybe not. We're like 7 minutes into this video. Never mind. Alright, I'm not moving fast. When do I ever move fast? Let's be real here. I always talk about everything and linger on things for a long time, but you guys are still here, so you know what? I guess you just don't mind that much. So let's move on to the third move slot here. We got Toxic, and that is a fantastic move for any wall to carry because most of the damage that Noctowl is going to be doing to opposing Pokemon is going to be that indirect passive damage via Toxic. And that's just because you don't have any investment or very, very little in those 8 leftover EVs. No investment basically in your special attack, so you're not going to be doing that much damage. And the only attacking move you have is Air Slash, which is only 75 base power, I believe, so that's not going to be doing much. And if you come up against opposing walls, you can Toxic them, and if they don't have Heal Bell support, if they're not carrying the Natural Cure or whatever it may be, like I said, that is the main way to deal damage with Noctowl. And then you can also, I mean, you have the Air Slash, which brings us to the 4th move, and it does have a handy little flinch chance. I think it's 30% if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, it only has 95% accuracy, so for me it misses when I really need it to not miss. But it's a nice special move for Noctowl to take advantage of, and it's good for dealing chip damage too, which really adds up if your opponent's Pokemon are switching in and out a lot, or if you have something toxic. So, and it's also the only way that Noctowl can do anything if it happens to get taunted also. So you don't want to have a moveset of just support moves, because if you do get taunted, then you automatically have to switch out. You may switch out anyway, just because it's not a good matchup, but yeah, it's always good to have at least one attack. Alright, so that rounds up the moveset. There wasn't a lot to say about those last 2 slots. The main moves you're going to be using, honestly, are Defog and Roost, even more so than Toxic, which you would think you'd use Toxic a little bit more liberally, but there are a lot of poison types in NU, so that is the thing. So that brings us to the final little segment here that I want to talk about, and that is, how does Noctowl fit onto a team? If you're team building, if you're looking for partners or Pokemon that synergize well with our favorite little owl birdie thing here, what are some things to look for? First off, Noctowl does not match up well against steel types, rock types, poison types, or electric types. Those are just not good matchups. Obviously, Noctowl is also weak to ice, and there are some ice types running around in NU, but they're pretty easy to beat because they have so many weaknesses. It's such a terrible type defensively, and that's why a lot of the pure ice types are in NU to begin with, because their typing is just so terrible. So I'm not really going to discuss that too much, but we are going to go over the steel, rock, electric, and poison types. One thing that they all have in common, all 4 of those types that I mentioned, they are all weak to ground. All of them. All 4 are weak to ground, so that means right off the bat, ground types are fantastic partners for Noctowl. And 2 that I want to mention right off the bat are Camerupt and Torterra. Torterra just poops on steel types, rock types, poison types, all of them actually. Torterra just poops on every single one. Especially offensive Torterra, because now, first of all, I didn't even mention this, but steel and poison types get a special mention for being anti-Noctowl because they can't be poisoned, so Noctowl can't really do much. Sometimes you can come in and defog on them and then roost up and switch out, but you can't actually do much to them other than air slash. And if they're bulkier, you're really not going to get anywhere. So having Torterra and or Camerupt around to remove them very quickly with either, if you're talking about Camerupt can run a bunch of different sets, so it could be physical or special, so depending on which one you're running, you could have EQ or you could have the Earth Power. Camerupt also has that fire typing that can dispose of the steel types as well, depending on if they're dual typed or whatever. And then we have Torterra as well, which, like I said, matches up well against all of those types also. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I want to say about that. Now, there's more than just those 2 Pokemon. There's more than just those 2 Pokemon. So other Pokemon that I think work well with Noctowl and NU, we've got Rapidash, Sawk, Zebstrika, and Raichu. I'll go over those kind of separately here. Rapidash, first of all, matches up very well against steel types, especially if it's an offensive set, which most of them are. Let's be real here. I mean, I run specially defensive sometimes, just because it's cool, you got access to Morning Sun and all that jazz, but Choice Band and Life Orb tend to be the more common sets for Rapidash, which just poop on steel types and even rock types, because you can carry the low kick, and most of the time rock types are not going to want to switch in on that. And then also poison types, a lot of the big time poison types in NU that are walls that will like to switch in on Noctowl, such as Vileplume, just get absolutely destroyed by Rapidash's Flare Blitz, because they're also grass type. So yeah, Rapidash is great for that. Sawk is great because it can remove ice types. It can also remove steel and rock types most of the time, even if they're physically defensive. Sawk is so powerful, especially the Choice Banded variety. Close combat just destroys everything. That's why Sawk is one of the most powerful Pokemon in NU. Then we also have Zebstrika and Raichu, which I mentioned because they have access to Lightning Rod, so you can very easily sometimes just use Noctowl as bait and no other reason. Or no other thing. Or I don't know, that sentence didn't make a lot of sense, did it? Probably not. But with Noctowl out there, you appear to be kind of like a sitting duck for electric type moves. People love to throw around discharges and T-bolts and things like that when Noctowl comes out on the field. You can very easily get a Lightning Rod boost by switching out into either Zebstrika or Raichu, and then proceed to nuke something with a really powerful Volt Switch or Thunderbolts, or depending on, you know, what you want to do. That special attack boost is always nice. So there we go. Those are the main partners I wanted to go over, and there are other reasons just for the partners I mentioned that I didn't even go into, but I don't want to make this video like 20 minutes. We're already at like 14. So I figured that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over with this set. Felt like that was fairly in-depth. If you guys have any extra questions for me, feel free to write it in the comment section below, or as I always mention, I need to start mentioning it more, is that you can always hit me up on Twitter. I try to respond to just about everybody on there. It's always in the link. Not the link. Yeah, it's in the link. The link is in the description below. Oh my goodness, sometimes I can't make sentences. Cannot do English. So yeah, it's in the description below if you guys want to hit me up there and you don't want to write in the comments or whatever it may be. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Also, make sure if you have any suggestions for Pokemon that you would like to see on this series, that you would like to see me break down as far as what sets I like to run, you can put that in the comment section below or do that on Twitter also. So with that being said, like I said, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all for the next episode. Remember, it's going to be Shiftry, and probably looking like Sunday. But I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, actually. I don't know. Anyway, see you guys next time, but until then, game on.